Hey, global leader and expatriates! Welcome to Joyride with Expatriates. This episode will be a little different. We have some surprises for you. If this is your first time here, in this show, we interview every month a different person to talk about their experiences abroad, how to raise cultural competence, and how to become an effective individual while living abroad. Hi, I'm Tatyana Fittipaldi, and in this channel, we make videos to help global executives like you gain the right skill set to make impactful business decisions and become more effective, inclusive, and influential. Today, we have the pleasure of talking with Nick Menard. Nick is a breathwork guide on a mission to have a positive impact on the world and create magic in every interaction. His passion for breathwork dates back to a session that led him to cry for the first time since his father passed away 13 years prior. He experienced its deep effect on the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical levels. He now seeks to lead and share with all those who are looking to explore its wide-ranging, impactful powers. Each breath is perfect, depending on what effect one is seeking. Please join me in welcoming Nick to our show. Hey, Nick, welcome to our show. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, Tati. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited as well.
I'm very excited. We have a very interesting and surprising show today. It's a bit different and it will have some practical elements. So I'm super excited. Nick, my first question to you is, I wanted to know about your, multicultural experiences. If you can share, your experiences and how it was to have this multicultural relationships and interactions, in your life.
Yeah. So back in college, I studied abroad in Australia for 7 months. And that was my first experience immersing myself in a different culture. It was super interesting. I loved it. Even though it was English speaking, so I knew the language, it was still a little different. They had their own quirks in their language that I did not know. So it was awesome. And then since then, I've been traveling a lot. I spent some time down in Mexico, living for a while. And that was also amazing. I find it invigorating and fascinating being in new cultures, especially when there's a language barrier, because you go in and I have all this fear around, oh my gosh, I'm not going to know the language. But you always find other ways. So you tap more into body language, just general curiosity, I think is the key I found.
And how did you get around in Mexico? Did you have someone that, helped you either with the language or, guiding you? What are some of the tricks that you used to get around?
Yeah. My amazing girlfriend is from Mexico.
Oh,
so she knows the language. She's from there. And she's great at helping get around. So that's a huge plus. So if there was ever an emergency or anything, or I needed something, or I could not communicate with someone, she'd be able to help me out.
And it's also good, right? Because you have someone to ask about certain things and get more reference about things or things that you think, oh, this is so different, right? And you have someone to ask about it.
Yeah. No, it's huge. It's huge to have a resource like that.
Awesome. So tell me, so what I want to know from you is, from these interactions in Australia and in Mexico, what did you learn with these multicultural interactions?
I learned that there's so much more out there in this world. Like we grew up and we learn these in textbooks and we learn in school, oh, there's these other countries, there's these other cultures out there, and there's pictures and there's readings about it, but it never seems real. And actually going out there and experiencing it in person, it opened up your eyes to a whole new world. And it's like, wow, I've only experienced these very few cultures, but there's so many, and there's infinite cultures out there to really go experience. So there's so much more out there to see, to experience, to get out of our little box that we grew up in and realize that there's just so much, there's so much to learn, so much to experience. It's amazing.
And if you could summarize this in one word, which word would you pick?
Ooh, great question. Fascinating.
Fascinating. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating. To meet new people,
100%.
meet new cultures. I agree. This is a perfect word. And if you had tips for other people who want to do things like you, to experience a new culture or to immerse in a new culture, or even to do something like you did, to go abroad, either to study or to work abroad, what kinds of tips would you give them to, have these interactions?
I would advise them to go into it with an open heart, full of curiosity. I think that's the key, going into these new cultures and experiencing new cultures, new people, new everything, is to lead with your heart and then just get curious. Don't think you have to know it all. I think in our culture, we would want to know everything. When you go into these new experiences, you would know nothing. You realize how little you actually know. And you don't need that to survive. You don't need that to thrive. What you need is curiosity. If you can get curious with people, people respond, whether any culture, any person respond to curiosity.
True. And if you're genuinely interested, right, they open up and they help you out in whatever it is that you need, or whatever situation you're in, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Cool. So let's talk about breathing, right?
Yeah.
So you have been working with breathing, and you're a breathing exercise expert, so you know a lot about that. So tell us, what's the importance and the benefits of breathing?
Yeah, so the importance is, if we're not breathing, we're dead. We are breathing, we're alive. Once we take conscious control of our breath, we start to thrive. So it's this beautiful thing that we all have access to. Every single person on the face of the earth right now, if they're alive, they're breathing. Yet none of us are using it to our advantage. Different techniques can produce different results. Different sorts of breathing patterns are going to produce different states of mind. And a lot of us are breathing up in our chest, and when we breathe up in our chest, it's constantly creating this stressed out state. It's like when you get scared. What do you do when you get scared?
I barely breathe. I hold my breath.
Yeah, exactly. So it's either fight, flight, freeze. That's what you're going to do. And that's built into us from way back in the day when we were running from lions and bears and whatever else was out there. But when we're breathing like that on a day-to-day basis, we're constantly living in these stressed out states. So what breathing exercises do and breathing patterns do is it retrains the body to breathe properly and start using this huge capacity that we have inside of us.
So basically, you're saying that even if we are not stressed, actually the act or how we breathe can generate this stress in our bodies and in our minds, just by the means of how we are breathing.
Yeah. So it's this,
and the opposite is true too, apparently the opposite. So if you breathe in a certain way, it can cause something in your brain to make you more relaxed.
Yeah. It's this two-way remote between breathing and our nervous system. So our breathing can either control our nervous system, or our nervous system's going to control our breathing. But at any point we can take, and typically it's happening 24/7, and we're not taking any conscious control of it. But we can take conscious control of it if we realize, we're in this certain state. We can take conscious control of our breath to calm down our nervous system.
That sounds really powerful, right? Because you start to have control over the results that you want. That sounds really powerful. So what kinds of health benefits can, using these patterns that you talked about, what kinds of benefits to our health we can see besides being able to relax depending on the pattern?
Yeah. So it can boost us up and give us energy. It can calm us down. It can build our immune system, which is a beautiful thing.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Just breathing through our nose. So our nose has its own microbiome built in. It purifies the air. It filters out the air. And this is all just built into our body. We don't have to do anything. But it's also a use it or lose it. So it's like a muscle. So if we're breathing, we're constantly mouth breathers and we're not using our nose, we lose it.
Oh.
But if we start breathing through our nose, it starts building back up again and everything starts functioning normally.
That's very interesting. I never thought about it. So basically, let me see if I understood. So basically, you're saying that if we train ourselves to breathe correctly, it will become a second nature eventually. So we have to actively train ourselves to get these benefits. So we have to consciously do it.
Yeah. It's like when you take a course. If you take the course and you're just reading it and learning it in the course, you're not just doing it so you can use it there. You're training yourself, so hopefully it becomes a second nature. And later on, you're using these techniques and using these new things that you've learned without even thinking about it. Same thing with breathing. If we start to retrain our body, retrain our breathing muscles, our primary and secondary breathing muscles, drawing air down low and slow, then eventually that's going to become second nature. You're not going to be thinking about it anymore.
Instead of constantly it makes sense because it's muscle memory too, right? It's sort of interesting. That's very interesting. I never thought about it, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So how about we try it?
Yes, let's do it.
How about we try it? Okay, so my first proposition to you is the following. Some of our audience might be, business men and women that, might be stressed or might be anxious. Or, let's do something like this. They are going to a meeting and they're kind of anxious with that meeting. And right before the meeting, they want to do a breath pattern so that they can calm down, take control to, perform very well in the meeting. What do you propose we do?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So I'll tell you what we're going to do first, and then we'll hop in and we'll all do it together. And then anyone who's watching can do it with us as well. So typically when we're in that state, our breath's trapped up in our chest. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to direct it down low. And then we're going to do 3 breaths in each breath pattern. So 3 breaths in through our mouth, out through our mouth, and then nose, mouth, nose, nose, and then a box breath. So a box breath, if you imagine a box, it's 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds at the top, 4 seconds exhale, and then 4 seconds pausing at the bottom. So I'll direct you through the whole thing.
Okay.
And then do it. So first, let's just close our eyes and just notice how our breath's showing up right now. Before doing anything, is it going in through the nose, our mouth? Is it shallow or deep? Is it full or just small sips? And then from there, let's take a deep breath in through our mouth. Let it go. 2 more like that, into the mouth. One more. Now let's take our hand and place it below our navel and really direct the breath down there for these next 2 rounds. So now let's take a breath, directing it to our hand into the nose. Let it go out of the mouth. Again, into the nose. And one more. Let's move right into nose, nose. So let's take a breath into the nose, out through the nose, in, out, in, out. And now we'll move into the box breath, and we're going to do all nasal breathing. So let's meet at the bottom for a 4-second inhale into the nose. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Last one. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Now let's let your breath go. Notice how it feels. Notice if anything shifted.
It really feels more relaxing. And you know what I noticed? I noticed as if my lungs kind of expanded, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's more flexible kind of thing. I know,
Yes.
I don't know if it makes any sense, but that's
No, 100%.
That's how I feel. And maybe it has something to do with being more relaxed too, right? Because you sort of relax the muscles, and that's why maybe you feel this, greater flexibility. But yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. No, it creates more space.
Yeah.
And directing the breath below. So we have 2/3 of our alveoli, which are these little sacs in our lungs where all of our gas exchange happens. So when we breathe in, oxygen goes in, and then it does this little dance with the carbon dioxide, switches, oxygen goes out in our blood, carbon dioxide goes out through our exhale. We have 400 million of these little sacs in our lungs, and 2/3 of them live in the bottom 1/3 of our lungs. So when we direct the breath down there, down low, it opens up space and gets out some stale air that maybe we're not using because we're breathing up here typically.
Yeah, that's amazing. So just to recap, so the pattern is we're basically breathing 3 times through our nose and exhaling through our mouth. And then we're doing another 3, but through our nose, and then exhaling through nose again. And then 3 rounds of box breathing. That's the pattern.
Yeah, plus the mouth, it's mouth first. So 3 breaths, mouth, 3 breaths, nose, and then 3 breaths, nose, and then the box breath.
Oh, and then the box breathing. Perfect.
Yes.
Got it.
So 12 breaths.
It's like a four faces kind of thing. Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds perfect. And so I love this pattern, and this is what you would recommend before going to a meeting. And something I just wanted to mention to you, I'm very used to doing box breathing, but I never tried with this whole pattern that you said. And it feels to me, at least, I see the difference between just doing the box breathing and doing this full pattern. It feels a lot more relaxing indeed. So that's great. That's really great.
Yeah. Because the mouth breathing is the most activating. So if a lot of us, especially if we're feeling stressed out, that's typically where we're at. So instead of just going straight to nose, which might be too big of a jump, you kind of do a step down. So nose, mouth is it's less activating, and then we go down. Nose.
I see.
And then we go down the box breath. So we're kind of taking our nervous system down on a step.
On steps. Oh, that makes super sense. That makes super sense. Okay, gotcha. So do you want the next challenge? Are you ready for the next challenge?
Yes.
All right.
Always.
So the next one is, all right, the person, the business person is already in the room, already, right? They are already in the meeting, but they are sort of a little bit anxious still. So they're still a bit nervous, but they want to avoid contaminating this nervousness in the room, right? So they want to make sure they have sort of a breathing pattern that, you know, makes sure the whole room is cool and relaxed. Of course, it makes sense, right? Nobody wants to go to a meeting and show that they're nervous, right?
No, definitely not.
So basically, how to dissipate this, you know, this room tension. So do you have anything for that? Do you have anything?
Yeah. So that's very normal. And I imagine that a lot of your listeners will relate to that. Going into a big meeting and everyone, and you think that's you, but it's really everyone is feeling the exact same way. And everyone, if you look around, like just next time you go to a meeting like that, look around and see if everyone's breathing. And you're likely not. So the whole room, you can almost cut the tension with a knife because no one's breathing. But we have these beautiful things called mirror neurons. So people start mirroring you, and you can release all that tension just by how you're breathing. So we do have a pattern for that.
That's
it's
awesome.
Called resonant breathing.
Influencing people through breath. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. 100%. And the greatest leaders, if you imagine like the greatest boss you ever had, the greatest leaders are always calm, cool, and collected, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
In the face of change, in the face of a challenge or a problem, they're all the people you want to work for, the people who are calm, cool, like nothing's really that big of a deal with them. And they always can figure out a solution in that space. The people you don't want to work for are a problem shows up and they create this huge drama around it. And now they're all stressed out. Now the whole team's stressed out, the whole company's stressed out, and they freak out. And it's because they always seem stressed out. And I can guarantee you they're not breathing. But the greatest leaders are using their breath whether they know it or not. So for those situations, the breath I would recommend is called resonant breathing, and it activates your parasympathetic system. And it's easier to do as opposed to the pattern we just did, which maybe you don't want to do in the middle of a meeting. So resonant breathing is just a 6-second inhale and a 6-second exhale. And that's what people call it. It's called the perfect breath. But that alone, if you do that and you just keep your breath moving, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out, the whole room will change.
And is it go through nose or mouth? How is it?
Nose, just all nasal breathing for that.
Okay.
You really want to activate the parasympathetic system or the rest and digest system, which is going to calm you down. Because you really show up to a meeting anxious, you just want to calm down, and then everything you already know everything, but sometimes you forget things when you're all anxious and you're up in your head.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So we create this resonant pattern. It balances out your system, and everything that you already have comes out, and it's there for you. Much easier to access. Do you want to do a few rounds of it?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it for a full 6 seconds. That seems, but let's try it. Let's try it. 5 seconds. Okay. All right.
All right, 5 seconds. All right. So let's meet on the exhale, and then in through the nose. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think the rhythm sort of helps you calm down too, right? I think it's
yeah.
It feels to me like the rhythm is beneficial too. creating this, right? It's
Yeah.
feels really
And it
good.
slows everything down. Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? Did you notice that I said, oh, maybe 6 will be too much for me, and 5 was exactly, you know, how the much I was able to do it. And I think so. What's your take on this? So I think the more people start to do breathing exercises, the more they will become self-aware of what they can handle or not, right?
100%.
What do you think about it? What do you think?
Yeah, with breathing, you just want to, start out slow. The biggest thing with breathing is just get consistent with it. So there's no reason to push yourself. It's not a competition. Breathwork is not a competition. It never will be. It's not about that. It's about really bettering our health, longevity, and wellness. And doing something that's like, if I was like, oh, Tati, you know, we're gonna do 10 seconds now, and that's super painful for you, it would traumatize you.
It would defeat the purpose, right?
Yeah, the purpose. The objective of breathwork is like to release traumas and to release emotions, not to create more. Every person's unique in their own way, and that's why I love creating specific programs for specific people, because some things aren't going to work for other people. There are some patterns, like these patterns are super accessible for many people, but there's other patterns that aren't. Because I'm not going to teach an Olympic snowboarder is going to be a different type of training protocol than someone who's never done breath work or any sort of physical activity, is just trying to get their health back. It's like you can't just create this one size fits all, this cookie cutter breath work.
So it sounds like you have like levels of breathing, and you can develop that. So for example, if I train more, maybe I could do a 6, right? Maybe I could do a 6.
Yeah. So that's, when you feel like that gasp of air, that you want to take more air, what you've always thought is, I always thought that it's because I don't have enough oxygen. Like, oh, I'm gonna die. That's false. It's our CO2 tolerance. So it's that there's CO2 building up in our body, and we actually want to exhale the CO2 out. But you can build up your CO2 tolerance. That's not a stagnant thing. So we can build our CO2 tolerance, and we can also build our lung capacity. Our lungs can grow up to 50% more than what they're currently at. So that's how these crazy free divers are diving down the ocean and holding their breath for 9
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
there are some people that they can hold their breath like really for a long time.
100%.
Interesting. And that's the reason I understand now. That's interesting.
Yeah. If you look at breath as a movement, like the whole world opens up, because it really is. It's this constant movement of muscles that's just happening inside of us. And we think that we just never think about it, because it's always happening. Once you see it as it's a movement, and any movement you can train. Any movement, there's proper mechanics, there's all these things going on that you can train and improve and get better at.
That's super cool. That's really so cool.
Yeah.
And if we have people that would like to, you know, do something at home, either before sleep or, you know, something to train every night before going to sleep, do you recommend something, or what do you have in mind?
Yeah. So there's two patterns that I use before I go to bed, even when I'm laying down. Like a lot of people have trouble falling asleep or calming their system down, especially these high achievers who are just, their mind's always on, they're always thinking new ideas, and they're excited for the next day. But sleep's also super important. It's when we rebuild our bodies. So there's 2 patterns. You can either do, it's called the 4-7-8 pattern, which is a 4-second inhale, 7-second pause at the top, and then an 8-second exhale, and then you just continue. So no pause at the bottom, which is typically where there's that urge to breathe. So 4-7-8 is one pattern, or the other pattern is all through the nose. Yep. And the other pattern is breathe in for 4 seconds, and then just exhale for 4, and then just start adding 2 seconds, maybe every second, third, fourth breath. So then it would just stay 4 seconds in, then 6 seconds out, then 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out, 4 seconds in. And I can guarantee you that you won't get to a point. Yeah, if you do that and you do a few breaths for each round of seconds, you won't get to a point where you're feeling, oh, I can't breathe anymore, because you'll already fall asleep.
I'll try that.
I will take you into sleep.
I'll try that. That sounds very curious. I'll try that for sure. That's so great. Yeah. Nick, I thank you so much for bringing this. I think, everyone will enjoy it to try these exercises out. That's really great. And now I have a surprise for you.
Oh boy.
So basically, as we talked offline, Coaching Expatriates has a deck of cards to train people to, people's minds to be more resilient, right? And so I wanted to show you one card of this deck today. So I'm going to show it for you, and you're going to read it out loud to our audience. And then you're going to, say whatever comes to your mind. How about that?
Let's do it. I decide who I shall serve. I am in control of my life. Compassion is part of my traits, and I bestow goodwill to all those around me. Wow, I love it. The card's about compassion. So yeah, the card's about compassion. I decide who I shall serve. I am in control of my life. Compassion is a part of my traits, and I bestow goodwill to all those around me. That's a powerful card. What immediately comes to mind for me is choice, and that we have this amazing ability to choose, and we're choosing every single day what we do. And every moment we're making the conscious choice to do that thing. So you're choosing who to serve, you're choosing what job you're doing, you're choosing what to eat, you're choosing everything. You're choosing who to interact with, you're choosing what to read, what to take in. And you also have a choice to eliminate things. So if certain things aren't serving you, or there's certain people in your life that maybe you think you're serving, but they're not serving you, you have a choice to move on from that. And there's something better else out there. So I think choice is it's a key.
It's key, absolutely.
Yeah. And also, compassion. Have compassion for yourself. Have compassion for all those around you. But don't have so much compassion where it starts taking a toll on you.
Exactly. No, I think you said something, beautiful. Many of us, we have a lot of compassion towards, other people. And sometimes we forget to be compassionate towards ourselves too. We deserve it, right? We're worthy of compassion too. And that's right. We have to balance what we're giving and how we're taking care of ourselves. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because we can only take care of other people on the level that we're taking care of ourselves.
True. Yeah.
We can only love someone else on the level that we love ourselves. I can't love, it's an illusion. Oh, I love this person so much, but I hate myself. Well, how can I do that? It never lasts. It's fake. So yes, it's the same thing.
True.
It always starts with us.
It always has to start with us. Absolutely. I love your take on this card. I really do. I think that's very powerful. And that's why I sort of created this deck, because I wanted to show people that they are in control of their lives, they because they can decide what to choose. They have the power of choice. They can, as you said, we can choose everything. We can choose what to think, right? Even if we're in a difficult situation, we can choose how to think about that difficult situation, right? So I love your take on the card.
Yes. Thank you for making that deck.
Nick, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your person with us, this shiny person, this beautiful person, soul that you are. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yes, thank you, Tati. Thank you for having me.
Thank
This
you.
is awesome. I love that you're doing this.
Hey, I want to tell you one more thing. You are a global leader. The question is, do you have all the skills that you need to succeed? I'd love to help. I save my very best tips for my subscribers. Subscribe for free at coachingexpatriates.com. I know your inbox is sacred, so I promise I will send you emails that you will love. Whoa, this show was super fun, right? I really enjoyed these conversations, and I hope you do too. Listen, as always, I will leave links to everything we talked about in the description below. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up so that other people can find me. And share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the bell so that you can be notified when we have new things. Thank you so much for watching.